Right, let's get started. Welcome to Magnetic Money. It's time to unleash your inner money magnet. I'm really excited to share this webinar with you this evening because this is a subject that is so close to my heart, because I know that when I struggled the most in business and in getting to the next level of success, it was because of money anxiety that was really blocking the path to manifestation. So what I'm going to share with you this evening are my personal tips, the strategies that I implement every day into my own life that have helped me to go from just above broke, just getting by, to becoming a number one best-selling author, a seven-figure business owner with multiple income streams, and traveling the world while I work. Now, that's a really important point, because one of the myths that I want to help bust, and one of the beliefs that I want to help you to break free of, is that it's difficult to make money. It's hard. It takes huge sacrifice. It really doesn't have to be hard. But when we think it's hard and when we believe it's hard, that becomes our reality. I can tell you that I have the most balanced life and the most wonderful lifestyle. And in building my business over the last few years, I've been able to do that while visiting some amazing parts of the world, spending lots of time with my family and my husband, and feeling really happy and fulfilled. And if I can do that, then it's absolutely possible for you too. I've also achieved some other pretty cool things, like appearing in Forbes magazine, but I can honestly say that one of the most amazing things is that I've been able to, in the process of achieving success for myself, I've been able to help hundreds of women create an abundance mindset and see success and wealth show up for them. But I think it's important that I share with you my story, because it hasn't always been this way. And I know that it's really easy when people share success stories to think that maybe they are born different, or maybe they've got a different character, or maybe they just had a better start, or different genes, or, it's really easy to look at people and think, wow, it's all right for them, but I don't think I can do that. And I get that, because I used to think like that myself. You see, my struggles, from what I can see now, started when I was a little girl. And most people's do, because we're forming our beliefs by the age of around 10. They're set. So we're forming these beliefs based on the information we're exposed to, the influences in our lives. And I had two main influences that were very different from each other. I had my mum's side of the family, and I had my father's side of the family. Now, my mum's side of the family were just the most incredible role models in being a good human. And they still are. We're so close. We're so tight-knit. We never argue. We resolve things quickly. And my nan and granddad played a huge part in that, because they taught me the importance of living by the right values and having the right morals. They taught me that there's more important things than money, your health, family time, life, living. And they were absolutely right about that. But my granddad in particular had some beliefs of his own that I can recognize now. He totally rejected the idea of wealth. In his mind, if you were wealthy, then you might have done something dodgy to get it. He'd say things like, oh, they might have money, but they're not happy. He'd say things like, money's the root of all evil, or money doesn't grow on trees. And all of those beliefs were seeping in. You see, my other side of the family, my dad's side of the family, they were very different in every way. They were really wealthy. My dad came from a long line of millionaires and business owners and entrepreneurs, and he was very entrepreneurial, but also very emotionally shut down. He found it very difficult to give love and receive love. He was very abusive. He had addictions. And we've had a really challenging relationship, but one that I'm very grateful for, because he taught me some really important lessons, and having him as a father really shaped who I am today. But back then as a child, I can see now that I made a decision unconsciously, and this wasn't a conscious decision. I don't think we ever make these decisions consciously. But I decided that if I was to pursue wealth and money, I'd be more like my dad and that side of the family, and less like my mum's side of the family and my nan and granddad. And that was the last thing I wanted. I desperately wanted to make them proud. I wanted to be a good person. That was my key focus, was being a good human. And I associated money with being bad. In my mind, I decided that money was one of the key differences between these sides of the family. So, of course, as you can imagine, I wasn't jumping out of bed every morning thinking, how can I make myself rich? I wasn't spotting opportunities. I wasn't thinking like a wealthy person or someone that was going to go on to become wealthy, because that wasn't really motivating me. And although I wanted nice things and I wanted more for myself, there was something constantly holding me back. And I can see now that that was one of those things. Now, what really flipped all this on its head was when I met my husband, James, because he's and always has been an entrepreneur. He's never worked for someone else. He's always earned good money and he's always been really successful. And when I first met him, I was really cautious. I thought, well, I've got to watch this one because he's got money. And I'd got these negative associations attached to people that had money. My money mindset was awful. But what I found when I got to know him and allowed him to get to know me was that actually he's got both. He has all the morals and values of my mum's side of the family, but the entrepreneurial flair and the financial aspect of my father's side. And it cracked this limiting belief that I'd carried around for years wide open, because suddenly I realized you can have both. Money doesn't make you bad. It doesn't make you good either. It just means you've got money. It's not relevant. So if it's not relevant for him, then it doesn't have to be relevant for me. And it totally changed my perspective. I started to open my mind up to the idea that maybe I could be a business owner and be successful and be wealthy. And maybe that isn't something to feel ashamed or guilty about. And I started really working on me. And in particular, one of the things that I worked on really hard was my money mindset, because I knew I'd got tons of money blocks where that one came from. And for me to get to the next level of success, I needed to shift them. And I worked really hard and I did that. I uncovered what they are, where they've come from, and I got rid of them. And that enabled me to go on and build a really successful business. But then came my second challenge. The first year my business turned over $1 million was the same year that I went bankrupt. Why did that happen? Because I didn't know what to do with money. I knew how to accumulate it, but I wasn't savvy. I didn't have a financial education. I didn't know how to get my money working for me. I just upgraded my things. I lived in a bigger house. I drove a nicer car. I went on better holidays. I ate steak instead of burger, and I still wound up broke. I didn't even know that we'd made $1 million that year until my accountant rang to say, your tax bill and your VAT bill is due. And I didn't have the money. And I can remember lying in bed at night thinking, what the hell? Money was meant to solve these problems. You see, people believe that accumulating more money will solve their problems. It will make them happier. It will make them more balanced. It will make them content, stable, secure. And it doesn't give you any of those things. What gives you all of those things is having an unstoppable money mindset and a financial education so that you know what to do with money when it starts to come in. And that's what I want to talk to you about tonight, those two areas. You see, we are in a relationship with money. And I want you to think about that for a moment. See your relationship as it is with money right now. And just think about other relationships first of all. You're in a relationship with your partner. You're in a relationship with your children, if you have children, friends that you have. You're in a relationship with your God or whoever you worship on a spiritual level. You're in a relationship with everything in your life. But we very often miss the point that we're in a relationship with money too. What do you think happens to that relationship if we don't nurture it? We don't look after it. We don't take care of it. It doesn't thrive. You see, I went to a seminar when I first entered the world of self-development, and the lady on the stage said something that stayed with me. She said, if you want to be great at something, you have to make it your craft, and you have to practice to master it. You have to study hard. and work on it like you would study medicine if you were going to become a doctor. If you want to be a great public speaker, then you have to study the art of communication. If you want to be wealthy, then you have to study money. And when she said that, I thought, wow, I'd never looked at it like that before. I'd always thought about studying the things that could make me money, but not money as a thing. And it is its own separate entity, and you are in a relationship with it. Now, most people's relationship with money is a negative one. They don't want to talk about it at the dinner table. It's a bit taboo. I don't want to look at it. I don't want to think about it. It makes me feel a bit sick. Can you imagine if you felt like that about your partner? If you didn't talk about him and you didn't want to look at him and he made you feel a bit sick, do you think that would be a healthy relationship, one that would thrive and go on to be really successful? Absolutely not. It's exactly the same with money. We have to spend time nurturing it, looking after it, and we have to love money and everything about it for us to manifest more. I can't count the amount of people that message me and say, Michelle, I read your book. I'm struggling to manifest money and it's helped me with X, Y, Z, but it's still not quite showing up for me. And I always say to them, how much do you love money? Because most of the time they don't love money enough to manifest it. Because if you think about the highest expression, the highest vibration that we can be on with the universe, the most aligned that we can possibly be is love. Because the universe is love. Everything in it is love. When we fall in love with money and everything about it, more comes to us like a magnet. So just ask yourself now, what's your relationship with money? Do you absolutely love the shit out of money? Do you take care of it? Do you nurture the relationship? Do you work on it? Do you work on you in the subject of money? I think money mindset can be clearly broken down into 3 areas, and one doesn't work without the other. It's not enough to sit chanting, I'm going to be rich, I'm going to be rich, I'm going to be rich, I'm a millionaire, and then just expecting it to show up for you. I'll hold my hands up and say, years ago when I first read The Secret, I thought it was that simple and I got really frustrated when it wasn't. But it's the same as sitting on the sofa eating Ben & Jerry's ice cream going, I'm going to be a size 8, I'm going to be a size 8. You can chant that all you like, but it's going straight to your thighs. Fact. There's more to manifestation than just being positive, thinking positive and acting positive and expecting everything to change. And these are the 3 areas that I've used as a recipe, as a strategy for success when manifesting money. So we have manifestation, subconscious, and financial mastery. Now let's look at them in detail. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a really clear lesson under each one that you can go away and implement right away that will make 100% of the difference for how much money you can see show up for you. So manifestation, the woo-woo stuff. The first thing I'm going to say to you is embrace the woo-woo. I don't know where you are in your journey and how much you've explored the universe and the law of attraction, but if it's a brand new concept to you, just go with it and explore it because it works. Now, when it comes to manifesting, what it takes is total alignment, no resistance at all. But very often we have a lot of resistance when it comes to money. Because the most powerful feelings are normally fear, anxiety, stress. And that's why most people get blocked when it comes to manifesting money. Because we think we're doing everything right. We're doing our affirmations, we're visualizing having more, but it's just not showing up. But that's because the biggest part of manifestation is the way we feel. It's not necessarily what we say or what we think. Yes, those play a part because they do contribute to how we feel. But we have to really work on the feelings when it comes to money. And I'm going to go back to love for a minute. This is like training ourselves to fall in love with something. Now, I want you to just think for a minute about what you do when a bill comes through the door, for example. Do you suddenly declare, and this can be an inner dialogue or something that you speak outside of yourself, do you actually say to yourself, inside or outside, oh God, how am I going to pay this? Or what's this amount going to be now? How am I going to afford this? Do you start that inner dialogue with yourself? When you go into a shop to pay for something and you stand at the cash register and you're about to hand your money over, how do you feel when you hand over that money? You see, all these things tell you where you're at with your relationship with money. I can remember bills coming through the door and feeling physically sick and thinking, oh God, how am I going to pay? It was dread. I can remember going into a shop and handing over money and feeling guilty, like I shouldn't be spending it, and really resisting parting with it. And what that tells the universe is that there's a lack of money for us. We're in scarcity. It tells us that there's not enough money for us. And what do you think we get more of? You see, it's not what we do just first thing in the morning in our morning routine by sitting down and looking at our vision board. It's what we do every day when we go in a shop and say, I can't afford that. And so it is. You can't afford that. It doesn't matter that you've just sat there on the morning and declared with your vision board that you're going to be a millionaire. So the second you walked in that shop and said, I can't afford that, you believed that way more than you believed that you were going to be a millionaire when you were doing your vision board or going through your goals that morning. It has to become a way of life. You see, when we say, I'm going to be a millionaire, or I'm going to hit this goal, I'm going to be earning this amount, when we're going over our goals, we say it with a level of certainty. But I guarantee when you go in that shop and say, I can't afford that, or when you hand that money over and think, oh God, I shouldn't be spending this because I've got nothing left, you say that with way more conviction and way more belief than you did when you were doing your goal board. So what do you think shows up for you? Because it's about the feeling, the conviction, the belief. And what happens is you end up with conflicting messages. You know, one minute I'm saying I'm going to be a millionaire and I'm going to be earning all this money, and the next minute I'm saying I'm broke and I can't afford that. So if you send conflicted messages out to the universe, you get conflicted results. Now, this is really easy to change, but it takes some work and it takes some practice. This is about being really aware of your inner dialogue when it comes to money. So what I love to do is when I go into a shop and I hand over some money for something, even if it's a lot of money and I feel that pang of anxiety rise, because it never leaves. No matter how much money you're earning, these things are always going to be something you're working on. But when I hand over money, I think plenty more where that came from. And it puts me in this position of empowerment. And it puts me in the energy space of, I give money away and it comes back to me tenfold. And the more you say it and the more you practice doing that, the more you believe it. And so it is. You know, if a bill comes through the door, no matter what it is and how much it is, I just ground myself in gratitude. If it's a water bill, I fall in love with the fact that I have water coming out of my taps every day. How amazingly grateful must I be to have clean water, drinking water coming out of a tap every day? And I take myself to a place where I can understand how amazing that is in a world where some people don't have clean water to drink. There's no room to be fearful about paying a water bill when you come from that angle. And it puts you into a state of abundance rather than scarcity and stress. When you go into a shop and you pick something up that you'd quite like and you realise the price tag's a little bit too much for what you want to spend right now, rather than putting it down and going, I can't afford that, just say, I'm choosing to save. I'm on my way to becoming a wealthy woman. I'm choosing to save, because wealthy people save. You must have heard that saying, this is how the rich stay rich. That's so true. The rich stay rich by saving and investing and spending last. So when you decide, I'm not going to buy that, rather than declaring, I can't afford that, I don't have enough for that, it's just a different choice. It's coming from a different standpoint. And again, it puts you in a position of empowerment. So just start to be mindful every day of this dialogue that you have around money. And remember, it's not just about what you declare once a day on your goal board. It's about the continuing communication that you have with the universe on this subject. But also the science stuff. I'm very woo-woo meets science, or woo-woo meets practical. I see that there's a place for both, and I see that there's a definite link between both. You know, some people think that there's spirituality and the law of attraction and then the science, and you're either in one camp or the other, but actually they're really both the same. They're just described in a very different way. You see, research on the brain and the unconscious mind and the conscious mind tells us that the subconscious mind is pulling all of the strings all of the time. The subconscious is storing everything. You know, as you're listening to me speak right now, you're not just being exposed to the information that I'm giving you. There are millions of other pieces of information to take in: your surroundings, noises that you might be able to hear in the distance, things that you can see. There's so much. But your subconscious knows that you don't need all of that stuff. So it stores everything else and it filters what you actually need right now and gives it to your conscious brain. And that is really cool. That's like the best piece of equipment and technology ever sat in our brain. And it works to our advantage because it's storing everything, just like the best computer system in the world. You know, if you are working from a computer, the police can always find out exactly what you've been looking at all times. Even if you think you've deleted history and deleted it from the deleted box and all of that stuff, they can always find it because it's being saved onto this hard drive somewhere. Now, I'm not very tech savvy, so don't ask me where or what it is, but I know it's there. And when you go onto Google and you type in a few keywords, it normally kind of throws up what it thinks you might be looking for because it's gotten to know you a little bit. Exactly the same with Facebook. It's getting to know you all the time, so it throws up adverts that it thinks you might like or things you might be looking for. That's exactly the same as our subconscious. It's the reason you can get in the car, drive to a destination that you've done a few times, arrive and think, how the hell did I get here? With no memory consciously of how you drove there because you were thinking about something else. It's the same part of your brain that can help you recall lyrics of a song that you haven't heard for 10 years and suddenly you're singing along every word. We've all seen the subconscious in action, but what we don't realize is that's the part of our brain that is pulling all of the strings. It knows what you're going to do before you do it. It knows what opportunities you're going to take, not take. If you say one day, right, I'm on a diet, it knows you're going to eat cake before you eat cake because it's deciding everything based on your belief systems and what it's stored to make your life easier. So you can imagine the difference between a wealthy person's subconscious and a broke person's subconscious. They're working from totally different backup systems, totally different computers. They're making different decisions. They're thinking differently. And I often hear people say things like, I know what I need to do. Like, I know roughly what I need to do in my business, but I'm just not doing it. I just don't seem to, I don't know, there's something stopping me and I don't know what it is. And it's always something wired into the subconscious. And if it's stopping you from earning more money, it's probably stored under the subject of money. And what we need to do is find out what it is, where it is, rip it out, so we can make room for better beliefs and better stuff that's going to serve you and see you acting, thinking, and feeling different in your pursuit of success. This affects everything. It affects your clarity, your motivation, your inspiration. It makes you feel unstoppable. It's quite a complex area, but I can give you one lesson today that you can implement right away. And that is, take some time for you, around an hour, and sit somewhere quietly with a notepad and a pen. And just allow yourself to throw everything onto paper that you can remember that is negative around money. Any memory, any belief, anything that comes up that's negative, because it's all stored there and all you've got to do is recall it. And really delve in. You'll be surprised what comes up. You know, go right back to childhood. Any arguments that you overheard about money. Any arguments you might have gotten into yourself. Any people you might have lost in your life over money, arguments that resulted in a loss of friendship. If someone stole from you, or even if you knew somebody that's really wealthy but they're a bit of a dick and you're like, oh, I don't want to be like them. Anything at all that's negative, get it on paper. When it's all down, you can now command the subconscious to clear it because it's very obedient. We just need to know how to use it. So you do that by going over each thing that you've written down and just saying out loud, thank you so much for the experience, but you no longer serve me. Cancel, clear, delete. Cancel, clear, delete, and then scribble out whatever you wrote down. When you get to the end of the paper and everything's scribbled out, tear it up or burn it and have some sort of ceremony process to declare that those things have gone. Now, what you'll notice is you feel lighter. Immediately you feel lighter. You'll also notice that you'll start to see things a little bit differently without the baggage of those beliefs holding you back. And I like to do this on a regular basis because I know that The messages of the world can be negative. They're everywhere. When you turn on the TV, if you talk to somebody else that's maybe not as enlightened on the subject of mindset as you, then new things get stored. So it's a really good idea to have a clean out and a bit of a cleanse every couple of months. And lastly, the numbers, financial mastery. But any of you that feel like you're not good at numbers, let me just put your mind at rest straight away, because you don't have to be some sort of maths genius to get in control of your finances and become really wealthy. I'm awful at maths, and that's probably one of the reasons that I ignored the numbers and ignored my finances for such a long time, and that ended in bankruptcy, and I don't want that for you. Financial mastery plays a massive part in the process of manifestation, because if you're not looking after what you've got, why would you deserve to be given more? What that tells the universe is that you don't actually respect or care for money that much, therefore you don't deserve to be delivered any more. Now, so many people are out there chanting, I want more money, give me more money, universe. And actually, they have a lot of money already, they're just not in control of it, or they have enough money already. I sat down with a lady just a few weeks ago, and the first thing she said to me was, I'm just trying to manifest enough to get by. And I said, okay, and how much is enough to get by? She said, well, just enough to pay my bills and be able to go out for a meal once a week and treat the kids, and, just enough. That's all I want to manifest. We spent an hour going through this lady's finances, and she had more than enough to do all of that. She was just allowing it to seep out unconsciously. She wasn't in control of her money. So when she stood there going, universe, just give me enough, it's going, you've got enough. So as much as she was getting frustrated, I would imagine, if it's possible, the universe would be getting pretty frustrated with that too. And the thing is, this comes down to some really simple things that normally we ignore because we're scared to look at it. How much comes in every month? You need to know that to the penny. How much goes out every month? You need to know that to the penny, but you also need to know where it goes. And just a simple spreadsheet, or if you hate spreadsheets, write it down, or you can download a spending app, and it's called Spending. And it's in the App Store, and it's a free download, and it's brilliant because it helps you to budget and it helps you to take your control back. Now, you can be in control of money. It doesn't have to control you in your life, but you have to start that process, because I can tell you that if you're earning, £1,000 a month and you're getting to the end of the month broke, that won't change when you're earning $20,000 a month either. You'll still get to the end of the month and be broke. Because if you don't know how to look after 2,000, then you don't know how to look after 20,000. And what you're doing by getting into control of it is you're saying, I'm ready. I've taken the first step. I'm ready to earn more. And you open up the space to earn more. You create an energetic shift because you put yourself in the place of empowerment when it comes to money. But also really respect every single penny. I'll go back to what I said about it being a relationship and loving everything about money and taking care of it and nurturing it in order to receive more. Do you know, one of the things that always makes me cringe is when I'm paying for something at a till and I see somebody take out their purse or their wallet and they drop money on the floor, and then they look down and they see that it was just a penny and they leave it on the floor. What does that tell the universe about how much you respect money and how much you love money and how much you take care of it? The universe doesn't know the difference between a penny or a million. Money is just energy. If you can manifest 100, you can manifest 1,000,000. It's about creating a larger space for that energy. And you create a larger space by working on your money mindset. When I first got started on money mindset, I could only really think in the thousands. I could only really think to like $5,000 a month, $6,000 a month. And then I stretched it and I could open it up to the tens of thousands. And suddenly I started to feel it was possible for $10,000 a month. And then I opened it up to the hundreds of thousands. And then I opened it up to the millions. But it's a constant evolving process of expanding that space through self-development on the subject of money. And that starts by respecting what you have. Go into your drawers, compartments in cars or knicker drawers or kitchen drawers where you might just have currency just sat there. It doesn't matter if it's a euro and you live in England or a dollar and you live in Spain. It's money. It's energy. And when we don't look after it, we're saying we're not ready. So the financial mastery part is simple. And the action would be take control and do it today. Get the spending app, give yourself a budget, know where your money goes, and look after every single penny. Turn your house upside down looking for all of the money. And when you find it, thank you, thank you, thank you. I love you, I love you, I love you. And see it as a sign that more is on its way. Because it is. How do you fancy manifesting £1,000 with me in 21 days? Now, this is one of my signature programs. And the reason that I developed this program is because I know that if you can manifest 1,000 with my support and help, then you can go on to manifest so much more than that. It's really just the starting point for you. I also developed this program so that people could, step by step, across 21 days, learn my secret tips. The things that I really can't share in 1 hour. It's 21 days worth of content. That at the end of it, you're £1,000 richer, but you're so much more than that in knowledge. So this program starts on the 7th of May, but the doors are open for enrollment right now. Now, we ran this program previously as a pilot, as a test. So what I did was I emptied my head onto paper of everything that I do, quite naturally now, I guess, over years of studying it and living it and breathing it. I emptied my head and went, right, what exactly do I do when I'm manifesting? Let's get every detail out. And then I came up with 21 lessons. And then I trialed it and thought, okay, let me test it. Can I manifest £1,000 in 21 days? And I blew it out of the park. And then I trialed it with a group of ladies. And this is just an example of 2 of the stories that came from that pilot run. Hannah manifested 2,651 in 21 days. And she said the course was full of life lessons that should be taught in school. And do you know what? That is one of my biggest goals, because I think if we can nip this in the bud with children, imagine the impact that will have on the future generations. Nikki, she manifested 1,360. And she said it really made her think not just about money, but also about herself and her worth and her value. So that's really important when we're manifesting. We only manifest what we think we deserve. So we need to do a lot of work on self-love, self-belief, and self-esteem, which is included in the 21 days. So the start date is the 7th of May. That's day 1 of the program. When you enroll, it's normally £197. But because you're on this webinar, and you're here just as the doors open, you can use a coupon code. This is really important, so make sure that you enter the coupon code MONEY in capital letters. Now, the link to secure your place, if you're watching this live, has just been posted in the chat box. So if you look down on the panel, you'll see a chat box. Click the chat box and you'll see that the link to secure your place has just been posted. If you're watching this on a recording, then the link will be at the bottom of this video. But do not forget the coupon code MONEY, because that's going to give you a massive £100 saving. So you're basically going to spend 100 to manifest 1,000. It's a no-brainer, but you're also going to go on to manifest so much more than that in the future. Now, I can only guarantee you a place at £97 for as long as they're available. So click now, act fast, and get your place secured. Now, how does it work? You're going to have 21 really easy to follow lessons. This is something that anybody that does this program is busy. I get it. You've got businesses, kids, and all the rest of things going on. So it's built to be for busy people. It means that you can watch a lesson, action the lesson in less than half an hour a day. You get me as your private and personal manifestation mentor throughout. So I'm on hand to make sure that I can answer any questions for you. And for that reason, we like to keep the group relatively small and intimate so that I can be there for you throughout the 21 days. And you also get workbooks to assist with your learning throughout. Now, at the end of the 21 days, you get a graduation webinar, because once you've shifted those blocks, you're seeing things totally different. People describe it to me like a fog being lifted for the first time. That's when we need a strategy for success that's practical for your business. So in the graduation webinar, we're going to be going through my 7 steps to 7-figure strategy that anyone can implement if you're a service-based entrepreneur. And you're also going to get access to the private members area so that you can network and be around other people that are on the program with you. So, are you ready? That's the question. Are you ready to really shift those money blocks and go to the next level, achieve greater levels of success? and change the story completely. No matter where you are you ready now? And that's the thing. That's what it comes down to. It comes down to, am I seriously ready to commit? Now, I know resistance is going to come up straight away. For most people listening to this, it's going to come up because fear rises when you're about to do something that's going to change everything. When you're about to create a new normal, fear raises its ugly head. Just know that that's okay and that's completely normal. In fact, that's something to be celebrated, because if it makes your heart race a little bit, then it's the thing you need to do, because it's outside of your comfort zone and it's expanding your space. But please don't forget the coupon code MONEY in capital letters, and the link should now be in the chat box. I am so unbelievably excited to manifest with you. I'll see you on the 7th of May.